Presidential polls in the African nation of Nigeria are almost over. Officials are now in the process of counting votes, while polling in some of the cities went smoothly. Others reported some delays. The race for this year's presidential polls is stiff, with candidates from two of the most dominant parties facing a tough challenge from a minor party's candidate. Nearly 90 million people were eligible to cast their votes for appointing the successor of President Muhammadu Buhari. This time, Africa's most populous nation is seeing three frontrunners competing for the post. They are former Lagos Governor and All Progressives Congress candidate Bola Tinubu. The surprise third-party candidate is Peter Obi, who is from the Labour Party and is a former governor of Anambra, and People's Democratic Party candidate Atiku Abubakar, who is a former vice president. This is the first time since the end of military rule in 1999 that a serious candidate has entered the fray, which has been dominated by the APC and the main opposition PDP. However, whoever wins faces a series of challenges that has plunged the country. Nigeria is struggling with Islamist insurgencies in the northeast, an epidemic of kidnappings for ransom, conflict between herders and farmers, shortages of cash, fuel and power, as well as deep-rooted corruption and poverty. Many Nigerians were casting ballots on Saturday evening, hours after the official deadline for casting votes ended. In the federal capital, Abuja, voters complained of glitches in uploading votes, which caused delays.
The people in Kubo, they are law-abiding community, but the little issues we are having here in Kubo is the returning officers here. You understand? The uploading of the result and so on and so forth. You understand? So the INEC should look into all these things to ensure that all these issues, is being solved. You understand? Because these are the major problems we have in the election period.
On the other side, Nigeria's commercial hub of Lagos saw armed men firing shots in the air and snatching the presidential ballot boxes. The shots sent voters screaming and scattering for cover and ballots strewn across the floor.
Yeah, we are about to vote. When we saw them, they came out of a car and shot in the air. They all started running. Then some group of people fell. I was among them that fell there. That fell down there. So there was sort of stampede around there. That's where I enjoy.
But despite such incidents, the Electoral Commission has said that results in some provinces can be expected to be out later today. However, the final tally from all 36 states plus the federal capital is expected within 5 days. The election is also for the National Assembly seats. Let's talk more about this Nigerian election, and our correspondent Louisa Olaniyi is joining us live from Lagos, Nigeria. Louisa, good to see you. We are reporting that the vote counting has begun in some regions and not in others. Could you update us on that?
Yes, as of yesterday, most of the polling units, especially those with fewer number of voters, started collating the results. The sad thing is that we've started seeing results being announced on social media, some doctored, some not. But the INEC officials have come out to warn against such, so as not to incite anybody at the end of the day if the result does not go in their favor. But as at 6 a.m. this morning, the INEC umpire announced that voting was completed in most parts of the 176,606 polling units. As at yesterday, that's less than 18,000 results have been submitted on INEC result viewing portal. You know that this year's election had the BVAS, a two-in-one technology where you be accredited technologically, and then the results will be transmitted to the INEC server using the IREV. As at 6 a.m. this morning, about 18,000 results have been uploaded on the BVAS. We hope to see more. Observers are actually worried, though, as to post-election violence if we're not careful how these results are springing up. We see some even celebrities posting videos that they were not sure of, and people already jubilating based on that. So we just have to be careful, how that pans out at the end of the day. But results are trickling in. Some polling units was inconclusive, and INEC has said results elections will continue, especially those that were distorted as a result of crisis, patches of distortions here and there. And hopefully it might take a while. We're not sure of the results completing today, but like they say, maximum of 3, 4, 5 days, we should be having a conclusion at the end of the day.
Louisa, let's stick to that. And like you mentioned there, the results are trickling in and the counting has begun, like you confirmed there. And going back to what INEC is saying and posting, what are the projections? Who is in the lead so far?
Well, it's actually not really, like I said, some of these, polling units, some results have been doctored. For example, yesterday, the last polling unit I covered, as at the time I left, a certain Labour Party candidate was leading. And then later on, when they started counting the other boxes, they discovered about 10 ballot boxes were put into other boxes that were not supposed to be for the presidential. And at the end of the day, we had about 6 toppling and then winning on the other side. Some electorates have already left that evening before the second announcement. And coming back the next day to hear that the other party, for example, APC, won at the end of the day, they might think it was doctored. So that's why INEC is careful about people churning out results in patches. Original results should come from the INEC headquarters officially, and that's the only result that would be officially announced. Now, like I said, even some celebrities are getting carried away with all of the results coming out. Yes, we know some genuine results where we see being counted and announced, but at the end of the day, every other result from all of the polling units has to go to the INEC portal, and officially the electoral umpire will do the official announcement when the results are complete.
Louisa,
so we can't, saying anything at this point.
Louisa, something of importance was also the security in the country. Have there been incidents while voting or after the voting that have been unreported? Basically, how was the election day yesterday and also today?
Well, like you reported during your introduction, some parts of Lagos where I monitored, we started out very peacefully. The only thing that characterized the whole of elections across the nation was the INEC not coming out as at the stipulated time. It's in some parts, it also created some sort of agitation, saying that if you do not start at 8:30 and you want to end the election at 2:30, we might not be having enough people voting. But the INEC official came out to say that those that started late, give them that window of opportunity to vote until the last person votes. So far, you were on the queue as at 2:30 p.m. where we should stop taking, officials should stop taking people. And then in parts of Surulere, Gore, and some parts of Lagos, had pockets of violence. Thanks to the security officials, they were proactive in bringing people in. We hear of people being injured, gunshots being fired, and some were brought to calm. And some of the stations that were put to a stop would continue today. That's why the results would not come quickly as we envisaged. All of these other pockets of violence where elections were distorted has to complete their process so that INEC can now start collating generally. But in all, we'll say it was a fair deal yesterday with the security agencies, especially in major parts of the state. But now the fear is post-election violence. Signing of the Peace Pact in elections over the years has always been before, during, and after elections. If we're not careful with the way people are turning out, expectations will be cut short for some. It's always the winners and losers. For those that might not be, their expectations might be cut short. We're urging officials are urging political parties to speak to their supporters for them to calm down and maintain decorum so that we do not have any post-election violence as recorded in the country in other elections.
Nigeria votes 2023 and the counting process is ongoing, like you've heard from our correspondent Louisa Olaniyi. Louisa, I'll let you go. Thank you very much for that update today.
You're welcome.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.